Welcome to Long Thoughts with Blue, a podcast dedicated to creators and their stories. Your host, Blue, asks creative folks to share their lives and goals. Stay a while and listen.
My returning guest today is the incomparable Marshall Jones. How are you today?
All right now. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a follow-up question from last phone call that we had. Excuse me. Last time we were talking about the not necessarily the transgression, but the mutation and shift from what like friend and compadre means, and how pivotal and important they used to be to kind of now they're just like, hey man, how's it going? And we didn't really delve into that as much as I thought we probably could have.
Oh, sure. Okay.
How do you feel that the word friend or compadre, I guess, or paisan has changed from, say, 10 years ago?
Well, let's see. I think that one of the things that always comes to mind when I think about words and their meanings is math, and I think we've probably covered that ground. And if we haven't, I'll go again. The idea that what a word means is essentially a mathematical concept, and so it is whatever is most accepted. And so in today's world, what's most accepted as the word friend is really probably as small and insignificant as it has ever been, because I can just say, well, a friend on Facebook or a friend on Instagram or a friend on any form of social media is really limited to whether or not they've accepted a box, and by clicking yes, to accept a friend request, and that thus now makes us friends. Whereas, before, the word was a much deeper concept, where experience was the guiding factor of whether or not a friendship would develop. Yes, you have fast friends. Yes, you can have people who you might feel, kindred spirits and things like that. That, someone's like, yeah, I just met this person, and then, they just clicked and we just gelled, and, yes, the word clicked actually, applied. It was more of a physical than, or rather, I wouldn't say physical, as in, like, it clicked. However, it was much more visceral, and a much more global sensation, I would believe. And so, now it's kind of insignificant to say, oh, that's my friend. Or if someone does say, oh, that's my friend, that's my friend, by saying it twice, versus, that's my friend, versus my Facebook friend, or my LinkedIn, comrade, if you will.
My .com compatriot, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I've been kicking that over for the last, I don't know, week or so. And I think you're right. I think that friend, at least on the internet, has come to mean much less than it does in person, and certainly less than it has, like, when I was a kid. You didn't call everyone that you kind of sort of knew your friend.
Yeah, exactly. There was some remote familiarity.
I saw him that one time in high school, yeah.
Right, exactly. And so, now it's like, oh yeah, I knew that person. Sure, I will accept them as my friend. Now, click. Okay, great. Now we're friends. And now you have access to all of my private memories and things like that I posted on Facebook. It's like before, these are things, my past would be something that would be divulged to someone based on how close I felt to them. And so it would be an unraveling over time. Like, maybe I'll share a story. Or maybe we'll build a memory together. Now, it's like, oh, now that we're friends, you can just scroll down through all of the memories I've made since before we were friends, and, and up to today. And you have access to those memories, whether you were there, a part of those memories or not. Or, and you can experience them virtually and still have sort of like that access and insight, depending on how someone is online. Because some people are quite private.
That's true.
Facebook, or
And some people are super heavy with the photos and the memories. Just, I mean, all of them.
Right, exactly. Like, this is me brushing my teeth. This is me brushing my bottom rub.
I had a Hot Pocket this morning. It was pepperoni flavor. Check it out. Right.
Exactly. Here's the first bite. Here's the third. Here's the last piece before I eat it.
Oh crap!
And
My
so,
plate's empty. Click.
Exactly, precisely. And it's I guess you can kind of. There's still a matter of human taste. There's still a matter of. I think people can fundamentally represent themselves online as they are. The person who is the compulsive oversharer most likely is your most talkative friend in real life. Anyway, right? And so now they just have a virtual place to be and such. And if there's someone who's quite closed and maybe a bit more reluctant to explode about their lives, you might see that reflected online with a picture or two or a word or two every couple of weeks. And so it's just an amplifier, really.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people's personalities emulate in a similar fashion on the internet. One of my most stoic friends says, oh, I don't even know if he has a Facebook page, but every now and again I talk to his wife online and she goes, yeah, he's good. That's it? You guys are married. You have children. That's it? That's all you got? Yeah, he doesn't talk to me either. He's good. Okay, sure. If something was wrong, he'd have told me because he'd be bleeding or something.
Right. Exactly. Man, that's, well, there you go. There you have it.
So I didn't actually mean to start that heavy. I meant to start with, so what have you done since the last time we talked?
Well, so since the last time we talked, I've created, finally, converged this information for a voice program called the Voice Key.
Really?
And that's been the work. So essentially, about, let me see, was it 2011? I joined the New Rican Slam team.
Mm-hmm.
And before that happened, my compatriot I hadn't seen him in about 2 years. He was a Grand Slam champion that year. And when he performed, the night he performed, he had like this Shakespearean thing going on. And, he just sounded like, Richard III had like, was in his throat. And so like, he's doing all of his poems, and all of his poems have a weight to them that's carried by like, that sound that those actors have when they say things and declare them from their pelvis. Right?
When you have no doubt whatsoever that was a declarative statement. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so I'm curious because I recognize what's happening. I recognize what's happening in the audience, how the sound of what he's saying it just stood out from everyone else in that night, and just in general as a form of delivery, as poetry. It was just like, what is that? So I asked him, I said, what's going on? And he talked to me about acting school. And the acting school, they said the very first thing that they focus on, because most of the work in like ADA or AMDA, they start working with the tragedies and the classics. So in order for you to really render them accurately, the tonality is important. So you start learning, how the Shakespearean sound, the Old English sound, or the Greek, that, I'm epic, Odysseus sound, right? And so he said that in that process, what they're attempting to do is sort of ring out your life, ring out the identity, the vocal identity that you've created, and help you to free it so that you can emulate those vocal identities. And so I was very fascinated because I wanted to learn everything I could about the voice and sound, just because of the craft of being a poet. I wanted to be, better. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that sounded like a logical step. Let me start talking like this, and let me perform my poems
with oomph.
Yeah, exactly. Boom, and and so I got a book called Speak with Distinction. That was the beginning, because that was the book he was reading in school, and it set me on this journey to studying everything human vocal anatomy. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. Medical journals, articles. I started reading all of these different books written by vocal actors, books written in the 1820s about opera singing, about vocal use, from then till now. And it wasn't until I got invited to a high school in a particular school district where students were jumping in front of trains and committing suicide. I got invited to go to the school to do an art program. So I came on a Friday. Then I was allowed to perform, meet some of the kids that I'll be working with the following week. And, everything's cool. Like, great. I'm an art therapist, if you will. And on Monday, I'm going to come in and I'm going to teach these kids how to write poems, to deal with their internal turmoil. I go home because I didn't live that far in San Francisco, so I flew back down to the LA area. On Sunday morning, I get a text message and an email. The email was about a student who jumped in front of the train at one of the schools that I was going to be speaking at on Monday. And the train stops right next to the school, so the person went basically to the school and jumped in front of the train on school ground.
Oh.
So here I am, Monday morning. I'm on my way to the airport, 5 o'clock in the morning, thinking to myself, what the hell am I going to say to these kids? Like, what am I actually going to say to these kids about anything, particularly about poetry, but really about anything? It's like, here's a fresh, open wound, and it's still bleeding. And here I'm supposed to come in and be the art therapist that says, well, let's deal with your feelings with these poems. And so something just came to me. And it's like, I think it'd probably be best if I just listen. And, let me just type in the ear and the voice. I typed that in Google precisely. And a book comes up, translated from French into English, called The Ear and the Voice. And it was written by Dr. Alfred Tomatis. He was an internationally known ENT. His father was a famous opera singer. And Tomatis wasn't really interested in all the things that came along with being a famous opera singer. He had the connections and everything, but he was more fascinated with the human voice. So what wound up happening was his research led him to finding that the ear was not only the controller of the voice, but actually the ear was the controller of the entire body, particularly the right ear, and that frequencies and things like that we can hear, we're able to emulate, and so our ability to sing is really our ability to hear. And he goes on and on about just the power of the ear, what it does, how it operates, and how we're designed to be a listening species first. So I'm reading this book, taking it in, and I go in, I work with these kids, and I probably say the least I've ever said as an invitation to go anywhere that I had up until that point in my career. Usually I go in, let's get gunning, boom, 100 words a minute, say everything you can. This time,
much less time, so, yeah.
Exactly. So this time it was just, let me hear everything. We sang, we talked about, they talked about just their experience. One of the students in the class was friends with the kids who had jumped in front of the train. And since this was a trend, depending on who jumped, popular for the train would depend on how it affected the student body as a whole. So like one time there was a kid who was a super popular jock, everybody knew him, so it like affected the student body heavily. This was a bit more localized because this kid wasn't necessarily as popular. However, the friend of that kid is in my class, and everybody's around her, and they just, she had her head down, they put her hands on her shoulder, we all sang Hakuna Matata, literally.
That's awesome.
And yeah, she had a moment, they all had a moment, and it was just a sense of like community and communion based on listening more, just being there without that many words getting in the way. So I thought, okay, great. Now I have this new knowledge, the ear, the voice, what do I do? And then that turned into a whole new phenomena of learning, and that led me into a lot of things about physiology, overall state of well-being, and essentially the voice key is the resulting, the culmination of realizing that our voice is the direct result of everything else. So instead of focusing on, well, these are techniques to make my voice sound better, that's fine, you can do that. However, there are very interesting things to pay attention to that directly affect how we sound. And by how we sound, it is beyond simply the sound of our voice, but really the sound of us, our personality, and how those things are dictated by the way we filter the world in and out, particularly with how we listen. And that listening is more of a global concept, that there is a connection with everything. And so the Voice Key is a program that I've created. It's an audio-based program. It's in beta testing right now, and there's a live component as well for companies or people who are interested in learning how to create a certain kind of listening culture within their organizations. And so that has been the long and short of.
That sounds like quite the achievement. That's something else. That's awesome. You said it's in beta. Is there like a website or a link I can put on the show? Or are we not there yet?
Well, I have a video that I can send to you.
That would be great.
Which will, I guess give more of this, pretty much me sharing the story, share with you here. However, sharing it with people who may or may not have heard everything that we talked about here today. And so I'll do that.
So while we're on the subject of the ear and voice and words, I've come up with a signature question since last we talked that I didn't get to ask you then because I hadn't thought of it yet. As a teacher and a poet, you must have encountered hundreds, more like thousands of words. Do you have a favorite word or sound?
Wow. A favorite word, I think, I don't think I've ever had, like, yes, this is the word when I hear I do. That's a lie. My favorite word is succulent. That is my favorite word.
It's a cool word.
It is succulent. Like, when that is, it's just like, yeah.
For some reason, whenever I say the word succulent out loud, I feel cooler. Like the temperature, not, hey, he's pretty cool. I don't know why. Since I was a kid, don't know. Which is weird, because when I say cold or cool or ice, that doesn't happen. I don't know. So, thanks for sharing that.
For sure.
Yeah. Would you read a poem for us so I can say that you did?
Oh, for sure. That's fine. It was just a reason to make noise, really. Learning how to beatbox. Sound just wanting to be free. Any contortion of lips pressed against a prison break of breath I would release. An incarcerated inspiration. Let it back into the free world. Change. This is a roundhouse of a kick drum, the underbelly of bass. The genetic residue of a footstep. The footloose boom bap of a bootstrap. The walk of a free man who can't kick his feet up or put his foot down. The kick of a mother holding her water like free, and for 8 counts, each child does the best redemption rock they can muster from their toes. The man dances along, encouraging them to loosen their bones as he snakes his blood along the length of his stretch. We all laughed, and in my mind I can hear the beat, the rhythm that wants its way out of my teeth, under my breath. The man begins to share about his life, tells all of us that he knows a thing or two about being kept away, about being trapped in a ribcage full of mistakes, tells us that he has spent the past 20 years behind bars, and that when all is said and done, that is where he has let the music take him. He wants them to not get caught in the wrong snare, on the wrong time, on the wrong block, but if they remember the kick in their feet, they can choose to walk the other way. He has one last glint. On his way out, he points at me and asks for a rhythm. He will finish with his own flair of finesse. I pick up the microphone. And for the next few moments, we watch this man pop lock, elbow snaps and wrist stops to pop locks. For the next few moments, he sets his bones in motion, lets his feet remember the inside of a womb, remember a mother who maybe expected things to be different, remember the footloose of a bootstrap kicking its way into new footprints, even if they will not be his. He dances and sets himself as free as any man can be for only a few moments. And I think to myself that it was just another way to make noise, really. Learning to beatbox, sound just wanting to be set free. But today, contortion of lips pressed against this prison break of breath is to release this man, this incarcerated inspiration, that chance let back into the free world. Changed.
That was cool.
Yeah, man.
Whoa, there was some wonderful imagery there. Woo, that was great. So, on just a completely unrelated, no heavy, no emotions, no poetry bit to it, I just thought it'd be fun to tell you that I got a Street Fighter game the other day.
What system?
Street Fighter 2 Special Combat Edition for the old Genesis.
Oh, that's right. It's classic.
Yeah,
Classic,
yeah. When I was a kid, I didn't have a Genesis. And Street Fighter had just come out, and if you didn't have Genesis or Super Nintendo, you couldn't really play unless you went to the arcade.
Right.
And all of my friends had either systems in their home or enough pocket change to go to the arcade kind of all the time, and I generally didn't. So I grew up outside of the Street Fighter bubble, even though I really, really wanted to be in the Street Fighter bubble. And as I got older, the only hard copy, and emulation on the computer became a thing. The only hard copy of the Genesis, the only hard copy of Street Fighter, the only individual game I ever wanted to own a copy of, a physical copy, came in the mail the other day. And I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't order it. I have a subscription box. They send you video games, and it just happened to be in there.
Man.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So.
You know. I was getting ready to say it. Okay, I had questions, and then I'm like, all right, so this is for you. This is a foray into how many times have you played? Has it been incessantly, or
Nope. I've been cherishing it like fine food. I play a round or two, and then I shut it off. I'm gonna go play some modern thing right on the computer for a week, and then I go play another round or two. And it's weird. After you play Street Fighter on the PlayStation 3, Street Fighter on the PlayStation 2 looks like it's not even moving, and I just don't care. Turbo Edition, not so much. It feels super sluggish, and it just doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. I think, as far as the nerd factor is concerned, I remember reading an article once when the animated version of Street Fighter 3 had emerged, and they were saying
Oh,
game,
depth. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just there's a YouTube. Funny you say YouTube channel subscription. I guess that I watched called Boundary Break, and I feel like I pay for ad. I feel like I'm shoveling advertisements here, but Boundary Break is such a fun video show. They take video games just at random, whether it's a brand new one or an old one, and then they have a guy make a custom like camera console, so you can go in there and you can deliberately move the camera whenever, wherever, including places where the player had no way to be. And you can pause it at any moment, whether it's in the cutscene or whatever, and they get to see some really cool stuff. And they played tore through a video game when I was a kid, Crash Bandicoot, the original on the PlayStation 1. And how they managed the graphics is really, really tight. I had no idea the graphics were that good. They like Crash Bandicoot will jump, and there's when he lands, if you land somewhere where there's dirt, there's a little poof of air. And now that's nothing, but on the PS1, that was the coolest thing. Little tiny details like that. And they're there for a frame, just long enough for the human eye to register them, and then they're gone. Poof.
Yeah, man. And pretty soon, we have like the Oculus Rift.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, if you land, you feel dirt under your feet.
Right? Next thing you know, it'll be the Star Trek holodeck. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You fight a Star Wars game and you get a burn on your arm when the Sith taps you with the lightsaber.
Yo, precisely. But this is very realistic.
I won, but I'm holding my guts in. I need like a solve. Somebody got a rub over here. You need a medical staff. Yeah.
Exactly. Your PS5 subscription comes with a on-call
That's awesome. Yeah. Comes with medical droid in the box. Yeah.
You need an insurance policy to own a video game.
That's right. Yeah, you've got, and it's gonna. The premium will not be cheap.
Oh, pretty much. No. Like, okay, so you were saying you were playing Call of Duty. Yeah, that's gonna cost you.
Right. What was your weapon loadout? More importantly, what was your enemies? You say you pulled the pin on the grenade, you cooked it, and you didn't throw? Oh, we don't cover that. That's your mistake. You're on your own, Bob.
Oh, God. Yo, that's hilarious. You know what? Actually, morbidly, I do have a poem.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess like in that strain, let's go ahead and do that. Why not? Let me see. So it says, your safety is our number one concern, Mr. Jones. Therefore, we suggest you limit your vulnerability levels to 0. In the event that you find yourself sharing too much out of a desperate need to connect, our protocol is in place to counteract. We will provide you with our state-of-the-art security system, patent pending. It is your responsibility to ensure that in all human interaction, it is engaged. Surveillance is always on. You won't even need to think without it being caught on tape. Any walls that you currently have in any of all 4 chambers of that little heart of yours will be still reinforced. And where there are none, we will provide one for you. We will place landmines and other hidden artillery around your perimeter. For specificity, insults, traumas, failures, anything that has hurt you, Mr. Jones, has been successfully weaponized. No one should be able to get close to you. Allow me. I like to use a highlighter. This section is important. In the event of a break-in, which is highly unlikely, thorough investigation to ensure that you did not leave any precious items in your chest that would tempt a would-be offender to come in and steal. In the event that you have left any of these items, including but not limited to hopes, dreams, aspirations, belief in yourself, feelings, ideas, or opinions that mean anything to you, we are not responsible for the damages that incurring any could result in a rise in your premium. We will also investigate if there is a lapse in judgment leading you to disengage our system, and therefore deliberately leaving yourself vulnerable. And for that, Mr. Jones, there will be a significant rise in your premium. We have learned from the automobile industry that the most laws of patterns that terminate in heartbreak. There are penalties for anything that you do that terminates in heartbreak. Our insurance does not cover flooding, therefore there will be no crying, Mr. Jones. We do not cover fire, therefore there will be no passion. Mr. Jones, we do not cover hurricanes or tornadoes. Be wary of things that come from brainstorms, Mr. Jones. We wouldn't want you overthinking yourself into following your feeling. And one more thing, Mr. Jones. You fall in love. It is at your own risk. And we here at Cold Shoulder Insurance do not recommend it. Which is why we will auto-destruct in the mechanism in the event that you repeatedly fail to manage yourself. Here, we will gladly do that for you. So I won't be able to use my heart at all. Precisely, Mr. Jones. Precisely.
That's heavy and very robo future, robo self. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, you did what? Oh, you fell in love? We don't cover that.
Oh, you stupid bastard! Right. I'm aware that the concept of a soulmate is. I mean, if you're going to break that down into math, those are not good odds. You know, you're screwed. Let's assume for a second that there is only one person for you that is perfect for you on the entire planet. There is no guarantees you'll live long enough to even be in the same hemisphere they're in. Right? Those odds just plain suck. Those odds lottery win 4 times in a row suck. But I got luck doesn't begin to cover it because that's I don't think luck. I think luck is quantifiable to some extent and therefore isn't good enough to explain how lucky I am with that I got my other half. And other people are like, there's no way you're going to pull that off. I mean, you guys are happy and everything, but you can't last your whole lives. No one gets it right the first time. And I go, look, if I cared about the odds, I wouldn't have fallen for somebody.
Yeah.
Tell me again how it's a huge mistake. It totally is, but it's been a great ride so far.
Man.
You can't tell people that are in love that they're screwed. They already know that.
It's kind of built in.
Right?
I was reading a book about his personal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was about how everybody thinks that like a chicken is such a great mother.
I'm sorry, what?
Like chickens are such great mothers because of how they sit on their eggs. And essentially, the way it was basically a book, like this section was talking about different animals and how they basically duped into procreating. But the way that it works for a chicken is that the chicken's underbelly, after laying the eggs, gets super hot. And sitting on the eggs cools her underbelly until the eggs get hot. Then when she gets up, she moves around a little bit to kind of shift around and to keep the eggs cool enough to keep her underbelly cool until they hatch. And so it's not like her resilience that keeps her on those eggs. It's hot boobs. So it's just like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, these eggs are great. And then, when it's too hot, then they hatch, right? And then there was another, a seahorse. They're like, oh, this seahorse is so, great. But basically what happens is the male there's like a pouch, and the male is starved, and the male's jaw is latched shut while it's holding the babies. But then the babies are held in the body, and as the jaw gets unlatched, the babies have enough time to grow to a point where they can swim away so that they don't get eaten by their very hungry father. And so, like,
like some Greek mythology stuff.
Exactly. So it was like, this idea that, the reproductive imperative has our best interest in mind was, like this idea that, like, that we think that, yeah. I think that all of the extra things that come along with finding someone that is, compatible with us and that we want to spend a great deal amount of time with, if it was relegated to simply that act and that act alone, it's like the biggest dupe in the universe. You're like, man, that felt whoo, and now there's where did you come from?
Like, say what? You're what now? Yeah.
And so we kind of need a little bit more incentive to want to, they want to, like, be that kind of that length of time. And so it was just the funny, cruel joke. And some people, they just don't get it. There is a science company that does have, for those who are interested, it will take saliva samples from you and your partner, and basically, based on your saliva samples, tell you how compatible you are. And it's supposedly really accurate.
Huh.
That's kind of creepy, isn't it? It's like, yeah, the microbiomes in your body and the microbiomes in their body, yeah, they're compatible. You got to get along just fine.
Well, not quite as connected as I'd like it to be. Here's a nature fun fact you might not have known. Wombats poop in cubes. There's something you probably didn't already know.
No, I did not. In fact, I'm going to look up wombat poop.
I want you to know that that's probably not safe for work.
Right. Well, okay, I'll go with that. What?
Yeah, it is a fact.
How do they do this?
How do I know that? Random idiosyncrasies. I would be a shoo-in at Jeopardy. But your average social encounter, not so much.
Man, like, how do they wind? Like, what does their digestive tract look like?
They have a special plate in their butt that helps them lay square poops. Apparently, the shit bricks, if you will, are used to mark territory, and therefore they can't be moved. So they must have a flat surface. So nature has engineered the wombat. Yeah, there's something completely screwy that you needed to know.
Well, yeah. Now I have questions. You're like, so the idea, like, what came first, the wombat or the brick?
I don't know. I wonder if there's a contractor out there somewhere who got the idea for bricks from a wombat's excrement. I have no idea.
They're like, these do stack up on top of each other. Now you have the Great Pyramids, Giza.
Whose job is that? You think there's an Animal Planet guy who goes out and checks the droppings of different animals and has like a checklist? Seeing the wombat poop, now wildebeest. Gotta go find a wildebeest.
Exactly. Jesus, man. That is okay. All right. That's all right. I will take it.
You're welcome for your random idiosyncrasy of the day.
Yep, exactly. That's a fun fact to drop, at the bar. Like, yo, you don't shit bricks, but wombats do.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet you at the bar, though, that comment doesn't get you any play,
No, right. That's not a great pickup line.
That one sends you home alone. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Oh, yeah. Great drop-off.
So we're closing in 45 minutes. Is there something I should have asked you that I didn't?
Man, the funny part is like how pompous it would be for me. Well, let me tell you what question you should have asked me.
What if I told you that the cloud is just somebody else's computer? Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally down for the randomness for the next few minutes, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't have, there's nothing that comes to mind as the burning question that, I've waited all my life for this one question, and then I get to answer it, and then we heard it here first. I'm cool with it, man. I don't know. You're the one with the great questions. I just answer them.
Oh, thank you. And then I ask you if there was more than one question, and you get all Highlander, and you're like, there can be only one. Or maybe Cave of Wonders, touch only the question.
Yes. Man, dude, yeah, so speaking of old things becoming new, have you seen the trailer for the Blade Runner? Are you anticipating this new Blade Runner movie?
I had no idea. I did watch The Magnificent Seven, though, because I told you I'd do that. That was good. I liked it.
Okay, good. Cool. That was, yeah, man. What did you think?
I think the story of a bunch of ne'er-do-wells who end up fighting for basically a good cause was pretty cool. Now I have to watch the original and the Seven Samurai that the original and therefore the new one is based on. A movie led to like 4 movies.
You know it. That's how it is these days.
Right? My attention span is good for like an episode of Family Guy. A 2.5-hour movie is, oh man. Seriously, I had to turn all the lights off and like get a bowl of popcorn and like wedge myself in the chair. And the movie could be riveting, and it doesn't matter. I have crazy attention span problems.
Well, I've heard of the term called multi-potentialist. And, yeah, I think that...
That sounds better than scatterbrain. I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, right? You're so unfocused. No, I'm a multi-potentialist. You can just say that and just...
I heard somebody go, you're lazy. And the response was, I am not. I'm very effective at doing one thing at a time. Like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's all in how you look at it.
It is, man. Let no one spin you unkindly.
That's right. Just spin it back around. Like a happy dreidel. Just spin it back around.
Yeah, pretty much. No. You have this all wrong. So, I guess that takes a bit of work to do. But I think it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Any insult can just be just with a nice turn of phrase, man. It's 2017. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You're such a jerk. I am not. I'm helping toughen you socially. You should give me money for that. It's like a job.
Right, exactly. You're a jerk. No. I am an experienced oscillator. Okay?
Right.
And so...
I toughen you socially. That'll be $20.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You will be better for this. Trust me.
You will thank me at some point. No, I won't. I'll have trauma for this. I'm going to go cut a check to a therapist now. Thanks for that. See, you've made a connection. You're welcome.
I'll invoice you.
Right.
I saw Mother last night. Now, that's a movie. That is a movie. That's a freaking movie. That's a movie. And it is absolutely imperative that you avoid all internet discussion about this film before you watch it.
What's it called? The Mother?
Mother. Yeah,
okay.
With Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
It's Mother, exclamation points. They made it, yeah, so,
right.
Yeah, Mother,
oh, yeah.
versus, Mother. And so, yeah. I had no idea what it was about. I was walking by, and I saw the premiere at Radio City Music Hall. People were outside, and I'm like, oh, this Jennifer Lawrence movie, Mother.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Watch that. So that's the movie recommendation. So that'll be the thing, right? The movie recommendations.
You share a movie and I tell you something screwy that you probably didn't know, like the wombat thing.
Exactly.
I'm not sure how I'm going to top Poop Square Poops, though. I'm going to have to go read just idiosyncratic nonsense and come up with something.
Man, well, from the mind that brought you Square Poop.
3D, like brick poop. Literal brick shits. Yeah.
Oh, man. Like, I would want to have those as gag cubes for, like, an ice drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just drop those in. Like, or at the bar, like, you make, like, some sort of, like, beverage with chocolate ice cubes and call it the Wombat. Like, I feel like...
That's awesome.
It would do it. People would do it.
Here's a terrible snack food. A coworker my mother used to have, factory work, right? So everybody there is rough and tumble to some extent. You have to be. It's the job. There's vats of acid that will literally melt you. It's a split ball bearing type place. And one of my mother's coworkers brings in a cat litter pan filled with what would appear to be used cat litter, then cuts it into it with a cake knife and starts putting it on plates. And when they asked her what it was, she said kitty litter cake, of course. And nobody would eat it. Except my mother, because she's brave. And my mother put the visual aside and just assumed that her friend would not actually feed her cat poop. And said it was quite good. Brought some, and none of the grown men, like the grown-ass men who go home and, go to the bar and beat each other up for coin and fun, would go near this thing. The same guys who look down, knives and barrels of guns like it's no big deal wouldn't go near this thing. What it was chocolate cake with it was like a coffee cake, so it's that tan color, and she's heated up and then bent Tootsie Rolls on top of it, and served it with a cat litter scoop. It was brilliant. It was like art you could eat. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. It's right before MoMA. Before they put, like, the crucifix in urine, like, this is what was happening.
Right.
Like, here you go. Like, that's fantastic. It's just like weird, everybody's got to be scared of something.
Right, everybody's got a thing, and apparently for all these men, it's cake that is, it's cat litter that is presented as food. They just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Oh, no, like, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a Fear Factor episode for you.
Right.
And it's like Fear Factor treats, Fear Factor,
Deadly desserts.
Exactly. Like if Fear Factor were to make a brand of food, like a line of food that were like, it's not called, it's not what it looks like,
Right, that's awesome. That's great. That's brilliant. So we'll have to schedule another one of these. I will talk to you at some point in the future. Thanks so much for being on the show.
You know it, man.
Thanks, Marshall. Have a great day. Bye.
You've been listening to Long Thoughts with Baloo. Do you create? Know someone who does? Have ideas or feedback? Contact Baloo at radiobaloo@gmail.com. That's RADIOBALOO at gmail.com.